she have been raped? Could she have been this? Could she have been that?
Yeah.
Because who is this woman now that I don't know? What secrets did she hold in? So actually, I think when you're thinking about doing your DNA, these are probably things that maybe you should think about.
We were sitting having dinner at the table as you do, iPads out, just usual romantic meals. And this email popped up and I read it. I very nearly didn't read it at all to start with because I was expecting the usual, fourth, fifth cousin thing. Anyway, I did read it and then I read it again, telling me that my husband had a daughter, another daughter, not apart from the one we know. I don't know, to be quite honest. It was almost a disbelief. What? What is all this? But at the same time, the letter you wrote was so detailed. It was a beautiful letter.
Welcome back to The Girl in the Cupboard, and I have got the lady that started it all and the reason why I am here today. And she's my stepmum, but I class you as my mum. So welcome, Sharon. Two Sharons today.
Thank you.
It's the Sharon Show.
Yeah.
So you are the reason why I now have a family. And you're just an incredible woman. So why would I not start my podcast with the person that changed my life? You're going to shout at me now, aren't you?
I'm embarrassed. I won't shout. Promise I won't shout.
So we got to talk about how I discovered my dad and how you and I connected. But actually, your interest in family history and DNA actually started way before I came on the scene because you are part of a really cool group, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. I started looking into family history in 1995 when my dad died. And my sister said to me, "Oh, Sharon, do you fancy doing family history?" And I've been doing it ever since. Ever since. I just find it fascinating. It really is. Not just your own family. I mean, so often you go down rabbit holes and searching all sorts of things, nothing to do with you. But yes, then DNA came on the scene. And I thought, oh, I quite like the sound of this. Let's see what happens. And I put my DNA, this is some years back. And I actually connected with a cousin in Canada that I didn't know I'd got, and we exchanged emails.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and to be quite honest, I get emails regularly. Oh, we've got this much and that much. And they are so remote, your third or fourth cousin, that I do tend to just ignore them because they're so remote and it would take so much research just to try and find that connection. And then a few years after that, I got my husband to do one, mainly because he was German, naturalized British, but German ancestry. And I thought, well, we might find some family because he really didn't have very little family left in Germany. And this is where you came on the scene. Years
Yeah. Well,
later.
so
Yeah.
how long ago did you do Dad's?
It was probably about 8 years or so. Probably about 8 years. Certainly pre-COVID. Everything seems to be either pre or post-COVID nowadays, isn't it? It was certainly some years pre-COVID.
Yes, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a long time before I did my DNA for
Yeah.
sure. Because
Yeah.
I did mine when we've got Edie, our dog, and I was doing her DNA to find out her behavioural and dietary requirements and stuff like that. And I got a voucher for Ancestry, and I thought, Mum's not here anymore, so let's do my family tree. And up popped a dad.
Yes. A surprise for everyone. Yeah.
It's surprising people.
A very nice surprise, as it turned out. It was
So-
in fact, I think shock might have been a better word at the time for me, for us.
So let's talk about the email that I sent, because you were the account holder, weren't you, on
Yeah.
Ancestry? And that
Yes.
confused me because your initials were different to the person on the account. So for me, I thought, oh, they're obviously not here anymore and stuff like that. So, but in fact, actually, I was emailing you on Ancestry.
Yes. You were.
And that arrived on a very important day, didn't it?
Yes, it was our 50th wedding anniversary. We were sitting having dinner at the table as you do, iPads out, just usual romantic meals. And this email popped up and I read it. I very nearly didn't read it at all to start with because I was expecting the usual, fourth, fifth cousin thing. Anyway, I did read it and I read it again and I read it again. And I think I read it again, telling me that my husband had a daughter, another daughter, not apart from the one we know. After
What
reading it,
went through?
I don't know, to be quite honest. It was almost a disbelief. What? What is all this? But at the same time, the letter you wrote was so detailed. It was a beautiful letter, email, and to my mind, very clearly thought out. There's some thought gone into this. It wasn't just you're my dad sort of thing, and there was a lot of information in it about obviously where you were born, about your mother and dates and things like that. And it all made sense to me because I knew my husband before I met him. Before I met him, had worked down in Loo in Cornwall, and two and two made four.
Yeah, and we have to make it very clear to people that are listening to this that this wasn't an affair. This was a
No,
life that Dad had previously to meeting you.
exactly. It all happened before we met. So, I mean, what can you say? I mean, things happen.
You're
Even
so good.
it does. I mean, to the best of us, things can happen. He was as shocked as probably more than me. I don't know.
What was his reaction?
Just sort of a bit of a blank. What? It was, yeah, I think gobsmacked is the word, probably. Not a very nice word, but yeah, gobsmacked.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. But can you imagine, obviously, not knowing at all and then having this landed on you, 50 odd years later,
Yeah,
it could be quite a shock, really.
yeah. I mean, absolutely no idea. He was only working down in Cornwall for a few months, I think.
Yeah. I think it was from because I found a letter. Well, not a letter, but Mum had written like her memoirs sort of thing. She had a habit of just scribbling on random bits of paper, and it's on there. And it was literally, and from what Dad said, is putting both together. It was like a summer job that got
Yes.
extended a little bit, and then the
Yeah,
work dried up, and then he went back home.
yeah. And I think he must have been back home before your mum knew she was even pregnant.
Yeah, 100%. It was from this letter. It was she'd moved from one side of the village to the other side, and we're talking. We didn't have mobile phones and stuff like
No,
that at that time, and
no,
so he had no way of communicating with her or anything like that. Whether he left a message at the pub or something, I don't know. Um,
no.
I think that from her letter, then she moved to the other side, and then I think then the following week or something, then she'd gone back, and then he'd gone home.
Yeah,
So, it's that
yeah,
sliding doors moment.
yeah, yeah. And then later that year we met. In fact, it's 58 years tomorrow that we met. Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah,
How did
I
you
know.
meet?
Oh, we were at the bowling alley in Nottingham, in the club upstairs. We weren't bowling. We
You
were in
and
the
Dad clubbing?
club. It's the bowling club. There was a bar and there was music. Yeah, and we met there.
Is that the place that we went to when we
We
looked
did.
round?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's where we met. That's why I wanted to go back. It looked nothing like it 50 odd years later, but it won't, will it?
Well, I don't think we all do, really, Sharon.
No. No, you can say that again. Yeah, we were just sitting there and he was sort of across from me. And I mean, being a bit of a floozy, I offered him a crisp.
Wow!
I know. And he accepted. The rest is history.
The rest is history. I've seen from meeting. Did you get married?
We'd been courting because that's what you did in those days. We've been courting nearly 2 years. We met in August 68 and we married in July 70.
Wow. Gosh. That's incredible to think actually I was 2 years old when you got married.
Yeah, yeah. You could have been a bridesmaid.
Flower girl. Oh my God.
Well, what are the chances of you having the same name, though, Sharon?
Yes, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird. What was Dad like as a husband and a father?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was lovely. Really, really good. You're gonna have me tearing up in a minute.
No, I was like it this morning before I'd even clocked on. I was
No, he was. He was. I couldn't have wished for better. I really couldn't have wished for better. We had 53 brilliant years together, married, and obviously we knew each other 2 years before that. Yeah, always a home lover. Wasn't keen on going out. He enjoyed his art and brilliant with his hands and DIY and all that sort of thing. Did all sorts around the house. Yeah, I couldn't have wished for better.
and do you know, that gives me so much comfort because, as we've discussed before, I didn't have that growing up. And, to know that the person that gave me life was an incredible person is really comforting.
Yeah, he was. He was. And I think also, I mean, the fact that he welcomed you, we all welcomed you into the family. He could have quite
You
easily,
just
when I'd said
welcome me.
all this,
I didn't have a chance. I was coming in.
he could quite
I don't think I had a
easily have,
choice.
he could quite easily have said, no, 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 don't want any of that,
I don't know. I think it was the enticement with the cuppa and the cakes.
probably. Oh, you'd be
Definitely, definitely.
anyone's for a cuppa and a cake.
Exactly, exactly. So we go back to the email and everything. So you had a conversation. Did you work out what you were doing next? Because it was a few days, if not a week, before you guys came back to me.
Yeah, we did spend a day or two just thinking, talking, letting it sink in. I did say to him, what do you want to do? And he said, well, he said, I have to get in touch with her, And you'd given a phone number, so he knew he could get in touch with you directly. And it was a few days later, and I'd been out to the shops, and I came back, and I knew. I don't know. I think I sensed something was happening or going to happen. I'd just been up the road to the shops, and I came back, and he said, I phoned her. He didn't want to do it while I was there, I think, and he decided he was going to do it. And he said, yeah, I phoned her. It's good. Everything's good. We're going to meet up, which was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. He rang me when I was at work, and I really wasn't sort of expecting it because I don't think we scheduled a call or anything. I
No.
think you and I were chatting on email. Just you let me know in advance, obviously, that Dad had Parkinson's
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and about your children that you had together, and that you would come back to me, and then next minute he's on the phone. And for me, it was just weird. It was like an out of body experience listening to your father's voice, because from knowing that you have a dad to then thinking, I wonder what he looks like. I wonder, I wonder what he sounds like. Now, you were really gracious and sent me some photos. The one with the hat, you and him
Yeah.
with the hat on. And I was like, oh my God, he looks really nice. And everybody that looked at it went, he looks really, really friendly. So you're trying to guess everything from a photo. So to hear somebody's voice, and I knew that obviously the German connection, but I wasn't expecting a northern voice. And it was lovely. And he was like, "Hello, Sharon, it's your father here." Well, he didn't speak like that, obviously. I don't know where that
No.
voice came from. So that's as close as northern as I'm going to get. But so it was just lovely to hear the voice. So that for me just threw me, and we were a little bit not lost for something to say at the first couple of seconds, but it was like, oh, how are you? And then literally something just clicked. And then we were just jump, sort of thing. And then he was like, "Oh, do you want to meet up?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yes, please. If you would like
Yeah.
to."
Yeah.
Um, and I think also for me, I didn't say it first because is that feeling of rejection. If I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
should we meet?" And they were like, "Oh, I don't think so, not yet." Because that initial phone call could be just a
Yes.
curious one, but he was very
Yeah.
keen to meet up, and it meant the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. And it was only, a week later, wasn't it, when you came up to Nottingham?
Yeah, I
It's
know.
only a week.
It was all so quick. My
Yeah.
husband and my son were like, "No, you're not going alone." I tend to do
Yeah.
things alone a lot. Just
Yeah.
they're
Well, you
like,
don't
"We're
know what
coming."
you got. You don't know what you're coming
Because
to, do
my
you?
son also was intrigued too. He's intrigued with family history, and there's such a um, likeness through my family tree on my mum's side. We all do look really, really similar.
Yeah,
So to see that connection and what we look like on the other side was
yeah,
really intriguing. And
yeah,
actually, a photo that you sent through, I think dad as a little boy,
yeah,
is identical to my son at that age. It's the weirdest thing. Even Matt's like, "When did you take that?" And I was
yeah,
like, "That's not you. That is my dad. That's your grandfather."
yeah,
And you're like, "No, that's me."
yeah. Also the one of Kurt's dad and Matt. Do you remember that one?
Yes,
The oh, the likeness there. It was
yes.
uncanny. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to say weird, strange, and uncanny quite a lot through this, aren't
Yeah, I
we?
think so, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, we got up very early. Boarded a train. I was a wreck all the way down. I don't know whether you know this or not. Sorry, guys, listeners to this. This is obviously too much information. But I think I had 4 poos before I actually came through the turnstile. They couldn't get me out of the toilet.
Oh, you didn't say
I
that.
was that. And every time I came out, I was like, no, I've got to go back in again. And it was like,
Dear.
oh, they were like, come on, we want to meet him. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Um, and both of you were the cutest sight I've ever seen. You were sat down on your bums on the cold
Yes.
floor
Yeah,
in the station waiting
yeah,
for us to come out, and it really
yeah,
was that long lost family thing, wasn't
yeah,
it? It
yeah.
was just
We were there very early, and there just aren't any seats to wait at the station, so we just sat down on the floor.
as you
Yeah,
do
as you do. Well, we do.
match.
Going back slightly, your that initial email and your notification, the German side, I think that was your first shock, wasn't it? Not just, "Oh, I found a dad," you found you were half German.
Well, the
Do you
thing
remember
is
that?
that I've talked about this on my introduction. So
Uh,
if you guys are listeners, go back because I always believed that I was different to the rest of the family. Mum made a bit of a thing of it, you know. Oh, you think you're better than us? You think you're different than us? And she must have known. So, and just how I carried myself, how I behaved, was different to that side of the family, the
yeah,
old dad's family.
yeah,
And I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I think we put it down to wishful thinking. But I did actually, from a very young age, believe that my dad wasn't my dad. Might have stemmed back, and again, I don't think you know this, but when my mum and the old dad had split up, and mum was trying to get maintenance, and I think she was getting £1 a week, and I think she was trying to get a bit more than £1 a week, and I actually went, well, me and my brother went with her to the court, and the old dad stood up in court and went, I'm not paying for her, she's not mine. I was sick.
yeah,
So for me to hear that, I think impregnated my brain anyway. He
yeah,
must have known as well as my mum. So I think that a little bit of that was there. So always believed that my dad wasn't my dad. But I did believe that I was Cornish.
yeah. No.
So I'm like, of course, because I didn't really see the parental thing first. I saw that I was 50% German. It's strong as well. It was right down the middle. And then the rest of my 50% is made up of Indian, Italian, European, and obviously English as well. But that was like in tiny little slivers. 50% was dead German.
Yeah,
So that was a shock. You're right.
yeah.
So after we then did the initial hugs, which was a bit awkward. Did you not find that awkward?
Yeah, do we, don't we hug, you know?
Yeah.
Shaking hands seemed a bit informal and then but,
But I
yeah,
think you guys, my boys, my husband and my son and you sort of led us a little bit, which was incredibly lovely. You guided us. You were our guardians on the day, and it was peeing with rain, wasn't it?
it wasn't good, yeah, the weather wasn't
It
good.
wasn't good, but we went to a cafe where we camped out for the whole day. And I've got
Yeah,
that photo still where then we just sat next to each other And then you and John were chatting, and I remember
Yeah.
just hearing, going, and you all going, "My God, they're like peas in the pod."
Yeah. Yeah. You can both talk.
I think that's probably where I get my talk from. Mum was a talker,
Yeah.
but not really. She was quite shy,
No.
extrovert at the same time. But yeah, it was it's just so easy to talk and finish each other's sentences. And we all watched the programmes Long Lost Families, and I
Yeah.
am one of those people who goes, yeah, no, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. But it really did happen. That
Yeah.
connection really did
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really did happen. Tell me about when you told Maya and Lloyd and the kids.
We were actually all gathered together. I say the email come on our 50th wedding anniversary, and we were all gathering together the following week. But bearing in mind, COVID was hit, at that point, and all this distancing, it had not quite got into the real serious social distancing, but we were all being a bit careful. And it was a nice day. We all gathered, my sister and her husband, family and the kids, and Kurt's stepmum and her daughter. We were all gathered. And at that point, I'd not had a chance to tell them. I didn't want to do it on the phone. I wanted to get them we wanted to get them together, tell them, face to face. Not quite sure what they'd say, though. I didn't really have any doubts about what they would say. They'd be quite happy. And I did manage, with a bit of help from my son's partner at the time, we managed to get them on one side and tell them, and they were, well, it was really just took it as that's it, that's it. Fine. Can we meet her? When do we meet her? Tell me more, The best
Incredible.
reaction, the best reaction, and I can see her face now, was Kurt's stepmom, Betty. She was in her 80s, and I'd got her again, sort of on one side. We were sat, and her daughter Helen was with us, and I told her, and she just laughed. She says, "Oh, good on you, Kurt." Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah,
Dad and I joked about, like, I wanted to talk to them before I came up, sort of thing. And Dad and I joked that I would arrive in a cake.
yeah. Leap out, surprise. I can see you doing
Gone
that,
down really
actually.
well,
Yeah, I can see you doing that. Yeah.
Did you have any worries about my arrival, that it might change your family or dynamics within your family group?
I don't think so. No. No, I mean, we're solid as a family, and someone else coming in, I didn't see that changing anything other than to add to it, which it has done. Yeah, it's been good.
Stop! We're going to be in floods of tears at the end of this. Oh.
Dear.
Did you notice any changes in Dad when we found each other?
Yes, I think I did, to be quite honest. I couldn't have pinpointed anything, but a friend of ours, Dave, Dave,
Yeah.
he said to me a few weeks later or some time after, he said, "Kurt seems different. He seems to have a bit more of a bit lighter, bit more of a, I don't know, bit more spring in his step. It seems to have, taken him back a few years." As you said, he had Parkinson's, so it wasn't, among many other things, Parkinson's does change the expression on your face. Anyone who's known it knows that, it's a standard thing. And he did seem a bit brighter. So yeah, and it was noticed. So yeah. I mean,
That's nice.
not everybody becomes a dad at how old was he? 79? I think he was 79 when you came along. Yeah.
Well, that's it, because then it was his 80th, quite close, wasn't it?
It was his
We all
80th
came up for his
birthday
80th.
the following year. It was, yeah.
That's
He was
it. That's it.
79 when you came along, and it was his 80th birthday the following year. And you came up, yeah. And you sent balloons. Yeah,
Are you going to tell the story, or am I going to tell the story?
you tell it.
I nearly got cancelled out of the family. Well, because my thought behind it is that I'd never sent my dad a birthday present ever in my life. So I had, all those years to make up for it. So I sent him 80 red balloons, and he loved them.
He did.
You not so much.
Gonna do with all these? More. And the woman kept coming back to the door with more, and she was full of it. She loved it. She couldn't
She
believe
knew
it.
the story, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, she said you'd told her. Yeah.
Yeah, funny. That was. They lasted forever.
Yeah, they did. Oh, there's still bits around.
It's
I don't know. I think I've still got some of the weights. You got a load of balloons and they've got a weight on the bottom to hold. I think I've still got some of them. Yeah.
Let's scoot back and talk about my first meeting with Maya and Lloyd.
Yeah.
So
We came down to London, didn't we? We met you down there.
yeah, you came
Yeah.
down to London and we met in the middle, didn't we? We were like all trying to find
Yeah.
each other. And then I have to talk about your reaction when Maya and I were standing next to each other.
Twins. You're so alike. You look so alike. It's unbelievable.
It's weird, isn't it? Because she looks like you.
Yes. Yeah.
You're
No, that is weird.
literally
Yeah.
peas out of a pod, you two.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like, it's the eyebrow. I just remember looking at her going, that's
The
where I get my
eyebrows.
eyebrows from. My mum hasn't got them. I'm the only one that's got them like this. And I
Yeah.
don't know. And I've never plucked them or anything like that. And then I just looked at her and I went, oh my God, the eyebrows, the mouth, everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most
Yeah.
bizarre thing. And even Lloyd was like, and her daughter as well. That was the funniest going, I can't. Ruby, what the hell?
Yeah. What?
All those people walking around us going, what are you doing? Who are these people?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was lovely. It was lovely. And it's strange really because it's coming as an outsider into a family group is actually really quite daunting. You guys are very approachable, very easygoing. It's water off a duck's back. It's like you've done it every single day, but the nuts inside me was huge, huge. As if to often go to the train station and go, I can't do this. I can't do this. Then my dad would be texting me going, are you on the train? I'm like, yes, I'm on the train. Yeah,
Well,
that meeting was.
hopefully that went very quickly once you were there and once you met her.
Yes, definitely. It definitely got easier, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it was just acceptance. I think that just did it. And
Yeah.
I do pinch myself every day because I'm very lucky that it turned out this way.
It could have gone very differently, let's face it. It could have gone very differently, but it didn't, and it's brilliant.
I did say to somebody the other day, I think actually it was Maya, that when that test result came through, and then before I got your message back, I did then think, God, who is he? What were
Yeah.
the circumstances that she fell
Yeah.
pregnant?
Yeah.
Could she have been raped? Could she have been this? Could she have been that?
Yeah.
Could she have been,
Yeah.
because who is this woman now that I don't know? What secrets did she hold in? So actually, I think when you're thinking about doing your DNA, these are probably things that maybe you should think about.
It's the same when you start doing family history. I lead a family history group, the U3A. And when people start, I always say to them, you don't know what you're going to find. You really don't. Hopefully they're all nice, happy families, but you could have criminals, you could have murderers. There are so many different things you can turn up. And I have in my family. Not murderers, but
Fine, no murderers
just
in
to
my
clarify,
family.
no murderers, no murderers. Did
Just
have
bank robbers.
someone who spent 10 years in Parkhurst for forgery and uttering, but that was 3 generations ago.
Standard stuff. It should be on your CV,
It's
really, shouldn't it?
yeah. But that's what makes life so interesting. Oh, wouldn't it be boring if everyone was the same?
Very boring. And we're definitely not a boring family.
No, we won't have that put on our headstone. These were boring.
Sadly, we have to talk about unfortunately, Dad was only around for 2.5 years, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
thereabouts. So we didn't have long, but we tried to cram in as much as possible. We speed dated, Dad and I.
Yeah.
Even the awkward, like, what's your favourite colour?
Yeah.
What's
What
your
are you
favourite
having for
food?
dinner?
Yeah, and it was really that. It was quite intense, actually, for both. He must have been as exhausted as I was at times, and because there's a lot of questions. Yeah, a lot of questions, and we both know that time wasn't on our side,
Yes.
which was incredibly, incredibly sad. Um, and we don't live close by. There's a few hundred miles between us, unfortunately. But when the call came, actually, it was him that told me that he was in hospital because
Did
I
he?
was in hospital. Yeah, I was in hospital at the same time.
All
I
right.
don't know whether you remember
I
because I
didn't
had
know that.
cellulitis. I was on ICU.
I remember that. Yes. Yeah. I didn't realise he'd also messaged you.
Yeah, so he sent me a picture because I sent him a picture of my arm in the sling trying to get the cellulitis out, and then he sent me one with his arm up like this. So we used to
Sounds about
message each
right.
other. We used to message each other from the hospital beds, but unfortunately he took a turn for the worse, and
Yeah.
I managed to get myself discharged, and then you said, "Got to come now."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta come now, which I am super grateful. In fact, it was twice I had to come up because
Yeah.
we said goodbyes, and I literally just got home, and you were like, "No, gotta come. Now's the time." And I was like, "And train strikes, the train strikes."
And John, bless him, he came out of work and drove you up,
He
didn't
literally
he?
came because
Yeah.
I'm round him. I went, He's going." And he said, "How are you going to get there?" And I went, "No, no, I'm just going to go to the train station and get any train." And, and he went, "Chan, there's a train strike on." And I'm like, "Ah!" But yeah, he literally came out of work and drove all the way up
Yeah.
to you, and
Yeah.
he'd only just done because he had to go back for meetings, but he was like, "I'll just stay here because we don't know how long." And he'd only just got on the motorway when it happened, so I got there in a nick of time.
Yeah. Yeah. You got another good one there with John.
And
Yeah, he would have done that. He would have done the same thing if it ever came to it. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
good boys. And then we went on a family trip.
We did. We all went up to the Lake District. That was interesting.
So the
Yeah, it
thing
was
is that
very good.
I've never done that. I've never been away with family.
No,
I've done a couple of trips when I was a small kid, but that was basically be put on a bus to go to my auntie's in Somerset and then get on back on the bus. I mean, terrible back then because I was only like 8 with my little brother and then back
really.
again and just to give mum respite. But I've never been on holiday with a family before. So, and and learning that was crash course into family dynamics.
I never gave that a thought. Never gave that a
No, I know,
thought.
yeah, but I'm glad that you didn't give it a thought because actually that was the best way to do because you didn't put on airs and graces. You didn't pretend to be anything that you weren't,
No,
and you were also natural around me.
we don't do airs and graces in this family. We are what we are.
Yeah,
That's it.
and I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think we needed, because Kurt didn't want a fancy funeral or anything like that. But we used to go up to the Lake Districts for our holidays regularly when the kids were younger. And I thought it would be perfect to take some of his ashes up there. It would be brilliant. And that's what we did. We all went up, got an Airbnb, which was a bit of a mess. But anyway, we weren't going to the Airbnb side of it. We had two Airbnbs, didn't we?
Another
But
podcast, that one.
that's another podcast. But it was brilliant. We all had our own little bags of, Kurt's ashes and scattered them where we want. We went to where we used to go, Castlereagh Circle, Ashness Bridge, and we left a bit of him up there. And you had your crash course in family holidays.
I did. And just talking about the ashes and everything, it's again, I you never expect anything, but you did give me some ashes to scatter.
Yeah,
And I can't begin to tell you how wonderful that made me feel. And you just made sure, and actually I had more as well because I did London Marathon with him, with me, and Berlin Marathon with
yeah.
me. God, we've gone on for ages. I knew we would.
How long have you got for this podcast?
I know, it's only supposed to be half an hour, but it'll be
Oh,
okay,
well,
it'll be fine, it'll be fine. People that are listening can come in and go back out at another time.
yeah, yeah,
It's, to be given those ashes really made me feel really included.
really. That's good.
Really, yeah, really included,
Good.
and, yeah, you gave me a family, and I don't know whether you realise how important that is. I hope that anybody watching this that's contemplating on doing their DNA or, are in the middle of doing it, anybody receiving, a family that they never thought they had, take that into consideration because it's massive,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good.
absolutely massive. But yeah, we'll have to leave the road trip to Berlin for another time, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think we need a part 2.
We'll both be bawling.
Dear.
So, what do you think now that we've done this? What advice would you have for people out there that, you know, would have that email that pings into their inbox on how they should respond and act? What bit of advice would you give them first?
Read it several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it all in and see if you can make sense of it. I mean, I was able to make sense. I knew Kurt had been in Cornwall, and I made sense of it. So, yeah. And it's difficult, really, because you just don't know who you're replying to. I think, generally speaking, most people are good, and all they want to know is, who is my family? I just don't know. And I think that is what they want and what they're hoping for. Whether you're actually going to get on is, well, who knows? You just don't like meeting anyone anywhere, isn't it? Just because you're blood related doesn't mean you're going to get on. There's a lot of people knowing their own families that doesn't always
Yeah.
work. But I think you've got to give it a try. You've got to go in sort of open-minded and prepared to find out. If it doesn't work out, well, it's a shame. It's a shame, but at least you've tried. You'll not be forever thinking, "Oh, will I? Is it? Isn't it? Will I? Won't?" or anything like that. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Also, I think like you touched on it and you've touched on it again now that actually the information I put in there was quite a lot.
Yes.
And you might not get that. So if you are making contact with people, be forthcoming, give as much
Yes.
information as you can about yourself, or if you're asked to give more information, give it
Yes.
because it's a security thing, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, you've got to think of that side of it. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
stalked me as well, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you stalked. I'm not catching you out there. You did tell me that you
Yeah, I
stalked
did.
me.
Yeah, yeah. Who is this woman? So I started Googling and looking on Facebook and different things because I thought, well, I need to know. This is where a lot of my family history research came in. I mean, some people would say I'm nosy. I just say I've got an inquisitive mind. But yes, I mean, yeah,
But
it's all
I
out
think
there.
that's really, really important. You're
Yeah,
protecting your family
yes,
and making sure that you're not bringing somebody in that could really disrupt it and have
yes,
a really negative impact.
yeah. You do have
I
to
think
be a
they
bit
call that love.
careful. Yeah, you do have to be careful, but at the same time, you need to be open to new things. I suppose it's a fine line. I don't know. I've only had I've only had a good reaction to all of this. It's been a good thing. I'm not quite sure if I'd have I don't know what I could have found out about you that would have put me off. But if I'd have found something out, I don't know, she seems a bit, iffy. Not quite sure what I would have done. It's too late now.
It is too late, and I am a bit iffy. But I think being transparent is really important on both
Yes,
sides, don't you?
yes, yeah. I think in life in general, just be yourself. So many people, I mean, Kurt and I, right from day one, there was never any pretense. I was me and he was Kurt. No putting on airs and graces and trying to be all perfect for this new date or anything. No, I was me and he was him, and that's how it stayed all the way through.
I love it though that you offered him a crisp and he said yes, and then that was it. You just fell in love. It's cute.
Yeah, and it was almost, yeah, yeah. I don't know. People, oh
He
no, thank
absolutely
you.
adored you. We talked a lot about you and he held you up there, and so you should be because you are a queen.
Oh,
and you've been incredible. You are the glue that holds us all together, and
really?
I'm incredibly grateful for everything, because you've given me the family that I never had.
No, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, you're tearing up again.
To go now. Pack it in. Thank you so much for being my guest, my
It's been a
first
pleasure.
guest.
Been a
And
pleasure.
I'm sure I'm going to get you back on again, because we need to talk about the road trip to Berlin.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody listening in, either on audio or on video. This is a safe place. Please be kind. No trolls. Be positive. Be kind. Send us some love, and also share this podcast. This will help other people going through the same things that I've gone through, and hopefully it will support. If you want to be a guest on the show, get in touch, and we'll see you soon. So it's goodbye from Sharon here, and goodbye from my other Sharon. We'll see you all
Goodbye.
again next week.
Bye.